Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about contingencies, okay? So inside of a real estate transaction, you have these things, called contingencies. These contingencies are what I like to refer to as your get out of jail free cards, right? These are the things that allow for you to walk away from your contract with no penalty or without losing your earnest money deposit. Because keep in mind, once you decide to purchase a property and you put down that earnest money deposit, you can lose those funds and the seller can have rights to those funds if you do not perform, okay? However, let's say you do perform and something does not go the right way, you do have these things called contingencies, which is what I like to refer to as your get out of jail free card that can allow for you to walk away from the sale, get your earnest money deposit back, and continue your home search, okay? So let's talk about what your contingencies are. Number one, well, let's talk about what a contingency is, okay? So like I said, these contingencies are the things that protect you in that home buying transaction or in that ratified contract or in that sales transaction. It protects you so that way if you want to walk away, you can walk away and get your earnest money deposit back, okay? What are they? Okay, so your first one is your home inspection. This is why I don't really recommend that you guys waive your home inspection, because if something goes wrong inside of that transaction, you can walk away from the deal and get your earnest money deposit back based off of the inspection, okay? So that means, yes, you do have to do the inspection, and once the inspection is complete, and let's say there's raccoons in the attic, snakes in the baseboards, or maybe the house just wasn't well kept or something happened, you can walk away from the transaction, okay? And also, let's just say you do the inspection and some things came up, but you're just not really feeling warm, fuzzy, and happy about this house any longer. You can still walk away at the inspection as long as you're within your contingency time frame. So keep in mind that your contingencies do have time frames. So most time frames for inspections are 5 to 7 days. So typically, depending upon how your contract is written, you may have a 5-day contingency, or you may have a 7-day contingency, or you could potentially have a 10-day contingency, okay? But that's how long that contingency period lasts. So as a first-time home buyer or as a home buyer in general, I do recommend that you know what your contingencies are and you also know how long they last. When you're my client, we let you know about your timeline. We educate you guys about all of this stuff up front to make sure you don't miss your dates, okay? We're there at each milestone to make sure no dates are missed, all right? However, if that's the case, you want to make sure that you know these dates and these time frames, because let's just say if you have a 5-day contingency and on day 7 you're like, hey, I don't think I want to purchase this property anymore because the inspection was kind of crazy, then at that point, the seller is entitled to your earnest money deposit because you're past that 5-day period, okay? So make sure that you understand that your contingencies do have a time frame attached to them. And for inspections, most of them are 5 days, 7 days, and or 10 days, okay? So that's your first contingency, your first get out of jail free card. Your second one is your appraisal, okay? So the purpose of the appraisal, again, is to make sure that you determine the value of your home and your home is not selling for more than what it's worth. But let's say you're under contract for $500,000 and the appraisal comes in at $480,000, right? It's $20,000 less than the contracted value, and now the seller technically kind of has to drop the price because the lender is not going to finance the property for more than what it's worth. But let's say the seller is like, listen, I think my house is worth $500,000. I got the best house on the block. I don't agree with the appraisal. I don't agree with the appraisal results. And you guys cannot come to a common median. Then guess what? You can back out of the contract and get your earnest money deposit back. Okay. So that's your second get out of jail free card. Your third get out of jail free card is your financing contingency. Now, typically your financing contingency, depending upon how your agent writes your contract, is written for the duration of the contract, really literally for either 21 days or 30 days, okay? And most contracts are 21 or 30 days. So your financial contingency is typically written for the duration of your contract. Now, depending on your state, depends upon how much protection you have under this financial contingency. But let's just say in the middle of the transaction, you unfortunately lose your job and now you can no longer qualify for the home. That's a financial contingency. You can get your earnest money deposit back. Let's say your hours get cut at work. That's a financial contingency. You can get your earnest money deposit back. As long as something happens with your finances that is now hindering you from purchasing this property or hindering you from being able to qualify for this home, that's what we call a financial contingency, and you can back out and get your earnest money deposit back. Now, here's the thing. That doesn't mean that you go buy a new car and raise up your debt to income ratio and now you can't purchase the property. Typically that won't fall under a financial contingency because those are things that were given to you up front as to what not to do, right? But if you lose your job, your hours get cut, or something happens with your finances that is now enabling you to purchase the property, then the lender will push out what we call a loan denial letter. And that loan denial letter can be given to the seller side and you can back out of the contract and get your earnest money deposit back, okay? And your fourth one, there is a bonus. Your fourth get out of jail free card for contingency is your HOA documents. But this is only applicable to homes that are within a HOA association. I had to break that down. So let's just say your home is in an HOA association. When you're purchasing a property, keep in mind you don't get those docs until you go under contract. That's something else to talk about. Let's put that down. You don't get those docs until you go under contract. But let's say you go under contract, the seller orders the HOA documentation and resale package, and you get it on day 7 or 8 of being under contract. You get it, you review it, and you find out that you can't have a pool in the backyard in that community. And having a pool in your backyard or getting a pool built in your backyard was one of your must-haves. If you find that out and you don't agree with the HOA declaration or bylaws, then at that moment you can back out of the contract and get your earnest money deposit back. Typically with the HOA documents, you only have 3 days. So you have to make your choice extremely quickly. Okay. That's all I have for today. And right now, you guys, I hope that this video was really, really good. My name's Althea Hurst, and I'm just here to provide education, insight, lifestyle, everything real estate to you. So that way you'll be able to understand the home buying, home selling, or just the real estate process in general. All right. You can find me on every channel: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok at I am Althea Hurst. All right, you guys, I hope this was really good, and I'll see you in the next video.